Hello, today I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite albums of 2019. And this won't be in any particular order, but anyways, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the album Distance Over Time by Dream Theater. Now, this album, I instantly loved it ever since first listen, and some of my favorites on the album are Fall Into the Light, which is my favorite of the singles, S2N, which I think is really catchy, maybe one of the most catchy songs on the album. I really dig that chorus, and I really like the bass work too from John Myung. And another favorite of mine is Pale Blue Dot. Now, I've seen some people compare Pale Blue Dot to At Wit's End, and comparing them, and since that they're the longest songs on the album, and I guess talking about which one is better and all that. And for me, I prefer Pale Blue Dot more. I've seen many people say that At Wit's End is a lot better, but I don't know. I really like Pale Blue Dot, especially that middle section. Specifically with that middle section, I just really dig the drum work from Mike Mangini. But yeah, Distance Over Time, excellent album, still holds up for me today. Now, next we have The Verdict by Queensryche. If I had to make a guess, I'm sure there's probably a good percentage of people who are watching right now who have probably not heard this album already, who probably haven't heard it yet. But if you haven't heard it yet, please give it a listen. It's really good. Most of the album still holds up for me today, like 85% or something like that. But some of my favorites on the album are Blood of the Levant, Man the Machine, Light Years, Dark Reverie, Bent, and the song Portrait. I think that might go down as one of Queensryche's most underrated songs. I love Portrait. I just love the intriguing melodies and all that. It's just such a great song, such a great album closer too. But yeah, I love The Verdict. But next we have The Nothing by Korn. Now, this album might be in my list due to nostalgia, but because Korn was one of the first bands that I ever got into, but I don't know, I really love this album. Now, unlike Serenity of Suffering, this album did take a little bit more listens to fully take in, I guess, because with Serenity of Suffering, I instantly enjoyed it, and things came to me, I guess, quicker compared to this album, but I don't know, The Nothing, I'm really enjoying it. Some of my favorites are Cold, You'll Never Find Me, Gravity of Discomfort, This Loss, and I really like the Ringmaster. And there's also the song Idiosyncrasy, which has some of the best guitar work on the album. Kind of has a little bit of groove to it that I really dig. And if you haven't seen it, definitely check out my review for The Nothing. And of course, if you haven't heard the album, come on, man, give it a listen. It's really good. But anyways, next we have the album We Are Not Your Kind by Slipknot. Now, this Slipknot's another band I got into when I was younger, and I still listen to them here and there. But yeah, with this album, I really dug it. Now, this album did take me a few listens in order to really take in everything, but which is fine. But some of my favorites on the album are Unsainted, Birth of the Cruel, which is maybe my favorite of the singles, Nero Forte, what else? Oh, Critical Darling, one of my favorites of the non-singles, and of course the song Soul Way Firth. I also really like the song Spiders. When I heard it for the first time, I was kind of on the fence about it. I wasn't sure what to feel about it, but over time I grew to really enjoy that song specifically. Then you have the song Orphan, which there's a part towards the beginning of that song that kind of reminds me of Flood by Tool. Not sure how to describe it, but I just remember there was a specific part of that song towards the beginning that kind of reminded me of Flood by Tool. If you listen to the song again, maybe you'll get what I'm getting at there. But yeah, We Are Not Your Kind, excellent album, still holds up for me. Now, next we have Shaped by Fire by Azalea Dying. I instantly love this album. Some of my favorites, bit of a tough call. My favorites have changed throughout time, but right now my favorites are probably Blinded, My Own Grave, Undertow, and Only After We've Fallen. And then you have the song Gatekeeper, which I guess is one of the more heavier songs of the album. It's really good. Now, Take What's Left used to be one of my favorites, but I guess Undertow kind of took that spot for me because Undertow, I just really enjoy the melodies of that song. Just really intriguing, and it has also one of my favorite solos on the album too. But yeah, Shaped by Fire has to be on this list for me. Just an excellent album, excellent metalcore album, however you want to say it. Now, next we have Atonement by Killswitch Engage. Man, when I was listening to this album for the first time, there were some certain songs that I couldn't stop going back to. I remember Us Against the World being one of those songs, Signal Fire being one of those two. Ravenous, I remember going back to a lot during my first full listen of the album. And then, of course, the song Bite the Hand That Feeds. But yeah, it's hard. It was really hard to pick favorites for me with this album because throughout time, like Shaped by Fire, my favorites kept changing a lot with this album, but my favorites now are Signal Fire, Us Against the World, Ravenous, I Can't Be the Only One, which I think is an excellent ballad, maybe one of my favorite ballads of the current era of Jesse being back. And then another favorite of mine is Bite the Hand That Feeds. It's just maybe one of their heaviest songs. It's just so fun to listen to, and that chorus just really packs a punch. But yeah, I love Atonement. Still holds up for me today. Excellent album. And I did review the album on my channel, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Now, next we have Fear Inoculum by Tool. Now, I've seen some negative reviews, which, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised by them because when you've been waiting for 13 years, you'd expect something so masterful and all that, and maybe not for everybody, but for me, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I really dig this album. Some of my favorites are Tempest, the title track, and Pneuma, but now the interludes, probably not going to have the strongest replay value, but I still like them though, like Chocolate Chip Trip. But yeah, Tempest, excellent song, and probably one of my favorite songs of the year. Now, next we have the album 9 by Blink-182. Now, I was honestly shocked that this album made it to my list because I remember with those first few listens of the album, I just wasn't getting into it at all except for a few songs, but over time, I started really digging this album. Some of my favorites being the First Time, Dark Side, Generational Divide. Even though it's short, I still dig it. Pin the Grenade is maybe my favorite of the non-singles, maybe. And then you have the song No Heart to Speak Of, which I also really dig too. You can tell in the chorus that Matt is really giving it his all as he's delivering the lyrics, but yeah, there's lots to like with this album. There is a little bit of diversity too, and I could definitely hear how it could be similar to their self-titled album. But yeah, now if I were to compare it to California, I'm still honestly not sure which album I like more. I mean, with California, they were more going closer to their roots a little bit, and then with this album, they were kind of exploring a little bit with their sound. But yeah, kind of still a tough call for me, but 9, definitely a great album. So next we have the album Voyager by 311. I will admit it is obvious which half is more strong than the other half, but for me personally, I think I might enjoy the first half more than the second half because some of the second half kind of feels like filler a little bit. Not all of it, but some of it though, but I don't know, this is just one of those albums that gets better and better the more you listen to it. Some of my favorites on the album are Crossfire, Stainless, oh yeah, Rolling Through, which is maybe my favorite song on the album. Charge It Up is pretty good. What The is maybe my favorite of the more reggae oriented songs of the album, but yeah, really digging this album. Now, I will admit there are a few songs that don't really hold up for me as much, but there's still a good number of songs on the album that still hold up for me enough to have this album have some sort of place in this top 10. But yeah, Voyager by 311, definitely has to be in my list somewhere. Now, next we have, finally, my last album, The Wings of War by Overkill. To me, I think it's their best since Ironbound. And I definitely mean that for sure. I think it's better than The Grinding Wheel, which I did enjoy, but I'll be honest, there are some songs that have kind of fallen off for me from that album. I like it more than Electric Age and even White Devil Armory. But yeah, I mean, this album, not as good as Ironbound, but I do think it's their best since that album, though. But some of my favorites on The Wings of War are probably Last Man Standing, Believe in the Fight. Um, oh, Welcome to the Garden State. That's a really fun song to listen to. And then you have that song Where Few Dare to Walk. Now, I don't know if that's a fan favorite on the album, but for some reason, I don't know, I'm just really into this song, especially the chorus, too. Sure, it's maybe not a very complicated song, but I don't know. I really dig that song. But yeah, Wings of War by Overkill is my last album for my list. But anyways, let me know your top 10 or top 5 or whatever in the comment section below and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe, have a nice day, and take care.